Do you remember the hairdryer on your mom's bathroom counter? The government recalled 18 million of them, not because they overheated, they contained asbestos, blown directly into her face every morning. And that was just number one on this list. From televisions emitting X-rays, to appliances hiding enough mercury to poison an entire city's water supply. Trusted brands, products in every home, and nobody said a word. Number one is still giving people cancer today. Let's start with number 10. Number 10, radioactive smoke detectors. That white plastic disc above your bed. You probably never gave it a second thought. It had one job, to protect you. But the thing that was supposed to keep you safe was the danger. Ionization smoke detectors, standard in millions of American homes by the mid-1970s, contained americium-241, a radioactive element with a half-life of 432 years. When families threw them in the trash, radioactive material sat in landfills. Not for years, for centuries. No warnings, no disposal instructions, no public concern. A safer alternative already existed. Photoelectric detectors, no radioactive material required. Stores kept selling the radioactive version because it was cheaper. Imagine discovering your childhood bedroom once contained radioactive material inches above your sleeping head because the next product was sprayed directly into the air people breathed. Number 9, carbon tetrachloride electronics cleaner. It smelled harmless, it evaporated fast, it destroyed your liver. Carbon tetrachloride was sold on the shelf of every electronics shop in America. Television repairmen, radio hobbyists, teenagers building electronics kits. Millions used it. Brief exposure to high concentrations caused acute liver failure. Repeated low-level exposure caused progressive, irreversible organ damage. No masks, no ventilation, no gloves. Workers cleaned electronics while eating lunch beside open containers of the chemical. By the 1980s, safer alternatives existed. By then, the damage was already done. This was happening in suburban basements, strip mall repair shops, and family garages. Imagine spending years unknowingly breathing toxic vapor while thinking you were just fixing a television. But even that exposure was limited compared to number 8, because number 8 existed inside virtually every electronic device in America. Number 8. Lead solder on every circuit board. It was a gift. A popular electronics kit. Build your own radio. The instructions were simple. Melt the silver wire. Bond the components. Watch the smoke curl upward from the iron. That smoke contained lead. Tin lead solder on every circuit board, in every television, radio, calculator, and arcade machine, and in every hobby kit sold to a child. Lead is a neurotoxin. Brain damage. Reduced IQ. Organ failure. Factory workers soldered by hand all day, in rooms with no ventilation, no masks, no warnings. At home, children did the same thing at the kitchen table, because a magazine told them to. Here is the line that still does not make sense. The science was already known. The EU still did not ban lead from consumer electronics until 2006. Not 1985. Not 1995. 2006. Imagine handing your child a kit containing a known neurotoxin. Decades after the danger was settled, the next one poisoned entire ecosystems from a single broken component. Number 7, mercury switches in household appliances. You've heard that click 1,000 times. The thermostat, the washing machine, the chest freezer in the garage. That click came from something. A sealed glass tube the size of a fingertip, filled with liquid mercury, rolling side to side to complete the circuit. Reliable, cheap, invisible, and catastrophically toxic. Here's the number the manufacturers never put in the brochure. One mercury thermostat contained enough toxic metal to contaminate 20,000 gallons of drinking water. When those appliances went to landfill, and millions did, the mercury seeped into groundwater, into rivers, into fish, into people. The poison moved silently through the food chain. It is still being found in ecosystems today. Imagine the thermostat you adjusted every winter, quietly poisoning a water supply for generations. Mercury worked slowly. The next one could injure you in seconds, sometimes fatally. Number 6. Exploding cathode ray tubes. It was in your living room. It weighed 80 pounds, and it could explode. Every cathode ray tube television was a vacuum-sealed glass vessel operating at up to 25,000 volts. A crack, a fall, a sharp knock. That was all it took. It did not simply break. It imploded, then exploded outward. Glass shards flew at nearly 30 miles per hour across the room. The Consumer Product Safety Commission documented severe injuries. Some incidents were fatal, and families kept these sets beside couches, children, and pets. Then people opened them at home with screwdrivers, bare hands, no insulation, and live 25,000-volt components. Imagine repairing a giant glass bomb, charged with enough electricity to kill you. That was normal. Some televisions were not only dangerous if they exploded, some emitted radiation while operating normally. Number 5. X-ray, emitting color televisions. Don't sit too close to the TV. Every family said it. Nobody really knew why. It was just something parents said. Turns out, there was a reason. Early color televisions ran on voltages between 20,000 and 40,000 volts. At those levels, the cathode ray tube generated low-level X-ray radiation. It was directed forward at the viewer every time the set was on. The closer you sat, the higher the dose. Scientists already understood there was no established safe threshold for X-ray exposure. Congress passed a Radiation Safety Act in 1968. FDA binding limits only applied to sets made after January 1970. Everything before that date was already glowing in someone's living room. Nobody told them, nobody warned them. Imagine millions of children every evening sitting inches from an unregulated radiation source, thinking they were just watching cartoons. But somehow, it still gets worse, because the next machine leaked invisible energy capable of heating human tissue from the inside. Number 4. Early microwave ovens with radiation leakage. The future had arrived. Food in minutes. No stove, no waiting. People stood in front of it and watched through the glass, amazed. There was one flaw nobody was testing for. For 4 years after launch, nobody was required to. Some door seals leaked radiation. Microwave radiation at 2.4 gigahertz vibrates water molecules. That is how food heats. Human tissue is also full of water. The eyes and reproductive organs are most vulnerable. They cannot dissipate the heat. Medical journals documented cataracts in technicians who tested early units. The first home unit came in 1967. FDA leakage standards were not set until 1971. That was a 4-year gap. Millions of units were already in kitchens. Imagine standing inches from a machine, potentially cooking your eyes. With no warning, no test, no way to know. The next product did not even need you nearby. It contaminated rivers and ecosystems across entire regions from inside the walls of ordinary homes. Number 3. PCB-filled capacitors. The refrigerator hum, the television in the corner, the radio on the kitchen counter. Hidden inside every one of those appliances were components quietly releasing one of the most persistent chemical poisons ever produced: PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, carcinogens, hormone disruptors. They accumulate in fatty tissue, and they do not break down. Factory workers developed cancers. Electronics in landfills leached PCBs into groundwater, into rivers, into fish, up the food chain, into people. The General Electric contamination of the Hudson River is still being cleaned up today, one of the most expensive environmental remediation projects in American history. The United States banned PCB manufacturing in 1979. By then, 1.5 billion pounds had already been produced. Right now, today, PCB contamination can still be detected in the environment, and somehow, we still haven't reached number 1. Because number 1 was hiding inside your walls, silent, patient, for years. Number 2, aluminum wiring that turned homes into fire hazards. New house, fresh paint, clean carpets, kids picking their bedrooms. Nobody knew the walls were already working against them. When copper prices spiked in the late 1960s, builders switched to aluminum. Cheaper, lighter, past inspection. But aluminum expands and contracts far more than copper when it heats and cools. Every cycle, every day, connections slowly loosening inside the walls. Loose connections create resistance. Resistance creates heat. Heat inside walls creates fires. The home looked perfect for years. Behind the drywall, the wiring slowly degraded in the dark. Then one night, spark, arc, Fire. Imagine building a life in a home that was quietly building toward catastrophe. No alarm, no warning, just a wall getting imperceptibly warmer. And somehow, number one was more intimate than any of this, because people held it inches from their own faces, every single morning. Number one, asbestos hair dryers, warm bathroom light, the smell of shampoo, the familiar roar of the hairdryer. Every morning. Same routine. Same invisible cloud of microscopic fibers directly into the lungs. 90% of all hairdryer manufacturers used asbestos in the heating element throughout the 1970s. General Electric, Conair, Norelco, Sunbeam, Gillette, Clairol, Schick, Remington. The biggest names in every American bathroom. Nobody discovered it through a safety review. Not a regulator, not a scientist. A photographer dried film negatives with a hairdryer. Tiny white particles appeared on the surface. Those particles were asbestos fibers. A federal investigation confirmed that fibers released during normal use exceeded OSHA's permissible exposure limits. Not damaged use, not prolonged use, normal use. Hairstylists inhaled those fibers 8 to 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, for years. Mesothelioma has a latency period of up to 50 years. People exposed in the 1970s are still being diagnosed today in 2026. 18 million contaminated hairdryers had already been sold before the recall. The most dangerous device in the home was not a power tool or an industrial machine. It was the hairdryer on the bathroom counter, held inches from her face every single morning by people who had absolutely no idea. And there you have it. 10 technologies trusted by millions, hiding dangers nobody wanted to confront: radioactive, carcinogenic, explosive, toxic, environmentally catastrophic. What makes this disturbing isn't just the danger, it's how normal everything felt at the time. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. The next video goes even deeper.